Hello and welcome. I'm Brittany Elliott. I help mothers reconnect with themselves through self-care so they can create a loving and fulfilling relationship with themselves. Thank you for being here. This podcast is all about simple, sustainable self-care that will help you navigate your motherhood journey and thrive as a woman. We are all at different stages of our motherhood journey while overcoming different challenges along the way. And we are all women with passions, goals, gifts, and talents that didn't stop when our kids came into our lives. Motherhood is easy to get lost in, and it's a big change. Change is growth, and growth can be messy, exhausting, overwhelming, beautiful, and amazing. In each episode, I hope you find a healthy mix of inspiration, motivation, and accountability as you continue navigating your motherhood journey. This is what self-care looks like. Let's get into it. Hey everybody, welcome back to What Self-Care Looks Like. I am Brittany Elliott, a self-care and mom life management coach. I help working moms change their approach to motherhood so they can feel vibrant, empowered, and fulfilled in their motherhood journey. And today our guest is McKay. And after recognizing the burnout that can accompany motherhood, she developed the Full Life Gratitude Journal for moms to help others find joy and mindfulness in their daily lives. And she does a couple of other things to help us moms really stay engaged with our children and families, which I think is awesome. So Autumn, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. So can you tell our listeners a little more about what you do and your mission and why you're doing it?
Yeah, so my mission is to help moms just like yours. So I was a teacher before I became a mom, and I kind of took my teaching background and once I had kids, I decided to be a stay-at-home mom, and I wanted that time with them to be intentional. And so I started using that teaching background and came up with activities to help them learn colors and letters and numbers and just a lot of fun things that they wanted to learn. And so I took all of those activities and I turned them into books for other moms to use as well. But in the midst of all of that, I faced mom burnout. I was just doing all the things, being a wife, a mother, running a business. I had 3 under 4, so I just faced burnout. And to help me heal from burnout, I learned to practice gratitude, and the best way to practice gratitude for me was journaling. So I created a journal for myself, but for other moms as well.
Yeah, I agree. Like I love journaling. Journaling is my jam. But it was interesting for me to find out that I always thought, everyone knew what journaling was, but there are a lot of people who don't. So I'm going to kick it back to you as the expert. Tell us a little more about what journaling is and why it is so important.
Yeah. So the way I journal is I write down 3 things that I'm grateful for that day. It can be little things or big things. When I first started, it was like the big things, like my house, my husband, my kids. But as I've been doing it for many years, it's gotten more like narrow, where I'm like, I'm grateful that I got to sit and have a cup of tea like by myself. Or I'm thankful that the flowers are blooming outside, things like that. And then I also write down one thing that, like one goal I have for the day, so that I can feel like my day would be productive if I just accomplished that one thing. And then I write down a long term goal, which is something that I want to push myself towards. Whether it could be like a goal that I have for the year or for 5 years, something that will like kind of help my one goal each day, kind of push me towards that long term goal that I have. And then I have a spot to write down like a prayer or reflection. And then I have a spot to write down a win for the day, because as a mom, we can kind of get bogged down with like all the things of the day, and we forget to remind ourselves that we have things that we have accomplished. And so writing down that win really helps keep my mindset positive. and helps me to like remind myself that I'm doing a good job. And then I also have something or a spot to write down something I learned. So it could be like something a value to me that I learned, or it could be something simple like my kid does not like when I cook this meal.
Mm. Yeah, because it takes all of those things throughout the day. And when it comes to becoming burnout, from our role as mothers, especially when we're doing all of the things, I think a large part of that is that we're moving so quickly. And I love that
Mhm.
your journal allows us to really slow down and take a beat and really think about and be prompted to think about, what am I grateful for today? Because I truly believe that even in the most stressful of times, even in the darkest of times, there's always one things that you can take the time to be grateful for in different moments of your life. And you said that you had or three children under the age of 4. So for you, there were probably a lot of things going on. They were just, all so young. So how did you make sure that you had that time to sit and journal consistently?
So since my kids were newbies, like right from the hospital, we have had schedules and routines in our home, and it's been very beneficial for myself and for our kids because they know what is expected and what to expect throughout the day because of those schedules. And so I kind of knew like when they would wake up in the mornings. And so I used that time in the morning and I would get up before them. So that is when I journal. I know like for different seasons, like when you have a newborn, it's kind of hard to um, wake up early, especially when you're in need of that sleep. So finding that time, like whether it's nap times or even like bedtime after the kids have gone to bed, those are beneficial times that you can journal.
Yeah, and I think after you do it for so long, especially for me, I found that it's something for me to look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
Like looking forward to taking that time for myself to see what I'm going to uncover. Because, as I go through my day, maybe what I think I'm going to be grateful for. Maybe that's not what it turns out to be. Or like you said, what did I learn today? We go through the day and we're just like hustle and bustle, got everything done. But, maybe you did learn a little thing. And I think that as mothers, we need that. We all are pushing to be, good moms. And then what
Mm-hmm.
does that mean for us? And then we kind of feel like stagnant, like, am I doing the right thing? Because we don't know until our kids get older. But I think when we are learning and growing through the process, that really makes it feel like tangible in the moment, and it brings the humanness back to motherhood for me at least. So I know that you had experience as a teacher, and then you had children. Did you always know that you were going to become a stay-at-home mom when you had children?
I did not. No.
So what turned that?
So there, yeah, my husband encouraged me to, but also they had some budget cuts at the online school that I was working at the time, and my oldest was just 2 months old. I was like, is this the right time? Should we do this? And so I decided to. It was the right time, and yeah, I thought I would end up back in the classroom when they were older, but I I love what I do now, so I can't imagine going back in the
I
classroom
go
right
back.
now.
Yeah. So what age group did you teach?
So I taught a little bit of everything, mainly third grade, but I did teach um, elementary, like reading intervention and math intervention, so that was all the way K through fifth. I taught some middle school electives, and then I was kind of like the wasn't a guidance counselor, but like kind of like a college career path coach for high
Mm.
schoolers. Yeah,
Nice. So you were like all over the place.
it was.
I mean, I would just say for our listeners, because I've heard too many times that, someone will say, this person's pregnant and they're a teacher. And so they're going to be like, they're just going to be
off running to the races with motherhood. But I have found, speaking with a lot of teachers, that it was just way different. Managing your classroom is way different from managing your own kids. Like, did you
Oh
find
yeah.
that? Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I did. So, um, I've found that my kids are kind of a little harder just because like it's three of my own personalities like I'm trying to manage. And I don't know if I'm like easy to manage, especially when it's myself. Um, but yeah, so it's a lot of like yourself coming back at you. So that's kind of hard to do. So you have to learn how to like navigate that. And then but I think it's fun also because you get to see each stage of their life. Like as a teacher, you're only seeing that one specific stage and kind of like a little bit of growth. But with your kids, you're seeing like growth from birth all the way until they're adults. I don't have adults yet, but um,
We're getting them there.
yes, hopefully to
Yeah.
successful adults.
Exactly. And that's cool because, you know, when you're with your kids, you do see them at all these stages. And my daughter just finished kindergarten last week, so it'll be weeks by the time this airs, right? But I was just looking at her first day of kindergarten versus last day of kindergarten photo, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, she's grown up so much, her personality, because, she picked up some things at school, and, she just has her own flavor. And then, the weeks would go by, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I see, like, this is the face you're going to have probably forever, now that's her kid
Right.
face. But her teacher, it's, a different type of change because she hasn't been with her since she was like a little
Mm-hmm.
itty bitty baby. And so I appreciate that you like that you're there at every stage and every level. And I think that's important, especially for our listeners, because I don't want you to think that because Autumn was a teacher, she understands schedules and routines, but not just understanding it, but applying it to your motherhood journey every day. Because you could have, fallen victim to motherhood in some way and felt like, oh, I'm just gonna do what I can every morning, just get up and get after it. But instead you decided, no, I'm gonna make motherhood the way that I want it to be and navigate it the way that I want to be and really thrive as a mother. And you found a way to be an entrepreneur at the same time. So how did best mom ideas really come to fruition for you?
It was a lot of my husband's encouragement. So he saw all the activities that I was doing with my kids, and he saw all the hard work that I put into it, and he saw how much we were having, how much fun that we were having together, but also how much they were learning. And he was like, there's a lot of other stay-at-home moms, and he had been listening to a lot of entrepreneur podcasts, and so he was like, why don't you try writing a book? And I was like, no one's going to buy my book. And so he kept like pushing and encouraging. And eventually I did it. And yeah, he was right. And I didn't turn back.
He was right. Yeah, good partners are very important because I think they push us when we're uncertain. They like find the strength that we need in the moment, right? Sometimes.
Yes.
Um, and you did it. And you're just, doing so well and blooming and really helping with stay-at-home moms because I found, me on the other side of it, I work with most of the moms work outside of the home and some of them are entrepreneurs or like work from home. They're ones who would not be considered as they don't consider themselves as stay-at-home moms.
Yeah.
And I always say that we shouldn't be pitted against each other because we're all moms and we just have different challenges, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you're helping so many overcome the challenges of being at home because I think it's tough to be on all day, all the time. So, what type of activities do you try to design and help women work through, like with their kids?
Yeah, and so it's not just activities for stay-at-home moms. The reason that they like came about is I got bored like playing with the same toys with my kids. So I was just like, I need something to break up the day. So they're very like low prep activities because as a mom, we don't have a lot of time on our hands, so we can't be spending like 2 hours to make this extravagant activity for our kids only to spend 5 or 10 minutes doing it. So they usually take 1 to 2 minutes to prep, and then you get to do something hands-on with your child. So some of my books are geared towards learning like colors. Some are geared towards learning ABCs. Two of my books are geared towards like just different fun themes that kids enjoy. So there's engineering, cooking, butterflies. Let's see what else. Learning Spanish, like how to spell your name, things like that. And so there's just activities for those themes. And then there's a book for like preparing for kindergarten. So it's a bunch of activities that your child will be introduced to in kindergarten. And so it's just like to help them get excited about kindergarten, really. And then I have 3 books that are hands-on activities that help teach your child to read. So instead of just like reading from a worksheet or anything, they're like things that they can do. But yeah, so they're like activities that all the materials you probably already have at your home, and that way you don't have to spend a lot of money, but also they're just like fun and low prep, because I know some moms are working, some are stay at home, some grandparents do the activities. And so, yeah.
So it's budget friendly, simple, like all of that. And it's educational and it's fun. And I think like I found myself, just when we have a lot of time on our hands and I'm like, ugh, what we need to do something today that has like a little bit more substance to it. And I want to be involved too, and just trying to figure it out. Like, what are we going to do? And you just saved the step from, now I have to go and try to Google, search
Right.
online for all this time. And now I spent 45 minutes trying to find the activity. By the time I find it, I'm like, whatever. We're not doing that. We're not doing that anymore. Let's just take a drive. So I love that you have written all your books and put together all the activities with us in mind to really be able to have that quality time with our children. So what does quality time with your children actually look like for you in your home?
Yeah, so we have learning time together. Sometimes it's just me and one of my kids together. We call it like our date time. And it's just me and one of them doing something that they enjoy. So it could be something as simple as like playing a game, or all of my kids are really into learning how to cook right now. So usually it's them telling me what kind of recipe they want to make, and I'll find the recipe, and then we spend that time together cooking that item. And so I'm like teaching them how to hold a knife and how to chop and how to measure things. And so, yeah, right now they like to cook, but we also do a lot of like art activities. They like learning different methods and different artists, and like how the artists use different techniques to create different pieces of art. And so those are the things that they're interested in right now. And those are the activities that we've been doing right now.
That's fun. I want to come hang out with y'all for a day. We get to cook, we get to do art. 'Tis the season for art. There's so many festivals and things going on, and it's so great to get outside. And I like to sit and see, like the art of nature. I know like in our backyard we have these little purple flowers blooming that we've lived in our house since we actually bought our home in 2020. Right in the middle of the pandemic. And I've never seen these flowers grow in our yard. So it's been really exciting for us to go out, and my daughter goes out and she picks these purple flowers, or we go and look for them and we talk about them. And, I think when we do that, like slow down, I love to journal like outside and just like feel the wind and listen to the birds. And, it just puts me in that like nice spiritual
Peaceful.
wellness time in
Yeah.
nature. And it's just very peaceful. And I like that. What do you think? Well, let me back up because I want to hear about your day. Like, I want to go through one day with you. Like, what time do you wake up? What time does bedtime routine start and all of that? So can you walk us all through what a typical day kind of looks like for you from start to finish?
Yeah. So my kids go to a hybrid school. So they go to school 2 days a week, and then I homeschool 3 days a week. So on the days that they go to school, I I wake up at 5 each morning, whether they go to school or not. And then on the days that they go to school, I get them ready for school. We have breakfast, and they're out the door usually by 8. And then I work from 9 to 3, and I try to work out while they're at school as well. And then when they come home, I like get all of their lessons ready for the week, and then we have like family dinner, and usually like either play outside or a game time before bedtime, and they're all doing their nighttime steps by like 7:30, and I usually am not far behind them in bed. um, and then so on the days that they're home, I wake up at 5. I get a little bit of work done before they wake up. They usually wake up around like 7:30. And let me go back. So like when I wake up, I journal. That's my journaling time. And then I like get ready for the day. And then so they wake up about 7 or 7:30, and then they have breakfast, and we're usually starting school by like 9. And they currently are very independent. If they need help learning a concept, then I help them. But I'm usually just there as like their tutor kind of right now. And then so I'll sit, and sometimes I'll either like read or work on my laptop while they're doing their schoolwork. And they're usually done between like 1 and 2. And so they'll play, and I'll try to get a couple work things done while they're playing, and then we have dinner together as a family, and then we're starting steps again. And yeah, that's pretty much our weekday schedule, I guess.
Yeah, and that's very consistent. And I love that you work while they're working, when they're home. And so it's just like family work day, which helps, makes it
Mm-hmm.
whole. And how old are they?
So 10, 8, and 6.
10, 8, and 6. So they're in at different levels, right? They're learning
Mm-hmm.
different things, but I love that they have this structure and you're there to support them, but they feel empowered to do things on their own too. And I did not know that you could do like hybrid, go to school and then do partially, homeschooling. I did not know that. So
Yeah.
I learned something new right now with that, which is lovely. So when you are working, and really this is an entrepreneurship question really, and you balancing that, how do you structure your days to be able to get everything you need to get done for your business done? Like, how do you set the goals for your business versus personal life versus mothering versus wifing versus friending, all that stuff? Like, how do you make sure that you're fulfilled in all of these roles that you have in your life?
So for like to get things done for work, I'm a very like paper pencil to do list type of person. Like if it's not written down, then it's not gonna get remembered.
Mm-hmm.
And so my husband and I, we like to make goals for our business. And so each we make yearly goals, but we also like make monthly goals. And so based on what our goals are is what my priorities are for that month or for the year. So that is where my like to-do list comes from for work. But we also like in our personal life, we make yearly goals for ourselves. So together we'll write down like what is our yearly goals, but also like what is our 5 to 10 year goals. And so we kind of make goals for ourselves in our personal life to get to those, to meet those yearly and 5 to 10 year goals as well.
That's perfect. We do the same thing. I always am telling people, just, get yourself a good partner, get yourself a good spouse, and really manage your life. And I think that, I mean, I know that there are people who don't do that. They live their life very passively instead of actively. And I think you need to know where you are and know where you're trying to go so that you can
Right.
really set the path and have those checks and balances, right? Because I truly believe that where I am today is, really a culmination of many decisions that I've made over the last like 5 and 6 years. And,
Mm.
one of those decisions would have been last year. And so we're always building on things. And so I guess, what advice would you have for moms right now who are feeling like they want to do things differently? They want to be more active with their kids. Maybe they want to get a little bit farther away from maybe tablet time or screen time and just feel like they want more balance in their life, but they want to balance themselves too. What advice do you have for them?
So my advice would be just to try it, but also to give yourself grace, because with trying new things, it's hard to like break old habits. So give yourself some grace. We need it. We give our kids grace whenever they need it, but we forget to give ourselves grace. So just like try it. You're not always going to get it right. You might have to make some adjustments and like figure out how it best works for you. But in those trying times, like just give yourself some grace.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that. Before I let you go, two more things. One, I'm going to pry and I'm going to say, what is that thing, that new thing that you learned today? We want to know.
Mm. Let's see. That's a tough question. So let's see. So I've been learning like how to. I try to keep learning like how to better parent my kids, especially like each stage of their life. Like they need different things at each stage, and so one of the things I've been learning lately is like that most misbehaviors are because your kid wants connection with you. And so, one of the things I learned today with my daughter is usually if she is has an attitude, it's because like we haven't had a chance to connect at
Mhm.
that time. Like there's something that she needs from me, and so I've had to like learn to like step back and just be like, all right, what does she need from me? What is she missing from me? Is it just like a hug, or is it that she wants to like hold my hand? She's a very personable person, so yeah, I've had to like learn to connect with her.
That's beautiful. That's a really good lesson. I think it's a good lesson for all of us, hearing that and remembering that, because even us with the best systems and routines, we're still human, and so it gets frustrating when you're doing all the things and your kids are just pouting.
Yeah,
You're like, we've done everything we could today. What more could you possibly need? And typically the more that they need is like a hug or a high five, or
right,
they just want to play cards or cuddle up on the couch. And then I'm thinking it's this big thing, and my daughter is often like, can you just sit with me? And I'm like,
right.
well, let me go cry first because I felt so bad about you being frustrated. But we're all humans, and I'll share this with you and the listeners because we're all friends. I told my husband very recently that I am to him like what our daughter is to me. So I see like all the worst sides of her, and he's like, she acts way differently when you come in, and they say it's because your kids are comfortable and they're showing themselves, and I tend to do the same thing with him. Like, he's like, I can tell you're moody. Like, what's going on? And I'm like, just hug me, please. And so those things, we're raising little people. So
Hmm.
I learned that today with you. Like, that was just a really good reminder. So thank you for that. And then also, to close out, I want you to tell our listeners, where they can find you, what resources that you have for them, because I know that so many of our listeners could really benefit from what you do.
Yeah, so I have a freebie for all of your listeners. So it's 6 free activities from one of my books and 6 free coloring pages from one of my husband's books. So yeah, I'll share that link with you so you can pass it on to your listeners. But you can find me at bestmomideas.com. And then I'm also on Facebook and Instagram under Best Mom Ideas.
Perfect. Thank you. I'll definitely drop that link in the show notes. Autumn, thank you so much for being here. I love what you do and I love collaborating. I'm very much like, we're all in this space. There are like millions of moms in the world and no one person can help us all. So I just love, doing this work with other people who are really in it and really passionate about it and really moved by it like you. And I've learned so much just from talking to you today. And to our listeners, as always, thank you so much for being here, and we'll talk soon.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to What Self-Care Looks Like. Again, I am Brittany Elliott, a self-care and mom life management coach. I help working moms change their approach to motherhood so they can feel vibrant, empowered, and fulfilled in their motherhood journey. My group coaching program, Reconnect, is built around the 5 wellness pillars that will help you feel the most whole as you balance your motherhood role with your personal needs. So be sure to check in with yourself using the free wellness quiz at backtoyouin5.com/quiz.